First, I want to thank my good friend, Stape Roy. This is true, Stape. When I think of ambassadors serving the United States and China, you are the best. You are the rock. Yeah, everyone else must be compared with you. You are so solid and so good. And I think of all ambassadors that I've known, that you are number one. I try to aspire to you. Let's give a big round of applause for Ambassador Stape Roy. I'm really honored to be here for a lot of reasons. First, I want to tell you, I very much appreciated serving the state of Montana in the United States Senate. For those of you who have been to Montana, you'll know why I'm saying that. It's a terrific state, and obviously chairing the Senate Finance Committee was a real honor. Having said that, the best job I've ever had is serving the United States as ambassador to China. I love the job. Let me tell you why. First, it's the people. I found Chinese people so energetic, so practical, pragmatic, positive, get things done, competitive, almost survivalist. It was very infectious. It's something I very much appreciated and wish, frankly, to see more of it in our country. Second, I love the job so much because of the reward of working on the relationship, U.S.-China. Before going over, I read Henry Kissinger's book on China. I'm sure most of you here tonight have as well. That became a bit of my Bible. His approach to the relationship and how important it is to work together was the foundation for what I was tried to attempt to do. And I learned a couple of things from that book. One is the Chinese board game of Weiqi, or Go. In the book, you know, he talks about Westerners play chess, and in chess, they're absolute winners and losers unless there's a stalemate. But in Weiqi, or Go, you know, you just position your players on the board. It's like Sun Tzu, the Art of War, and try to figure out a way so it becomes obvious that you're going to win. You don't have to fight the battle because you're going to win. I saw a lot of that in China. And some of it's pretty good, some of it a little concerning. And I urge all of us, especially Americans, who need to know more about China to appreciate that aspect of Chinese culture. Second, he talks about, this is a bit overworked, the so-called Thucydides trap, rising power and established power meeting, you know, what happens? Frankly, I think it's a question that all of us have to keep asking ourselves, because I think it is critical and crucial to helping resolve any potential tension that may occur with a rising power meeting an established power. When I last saw him, Dr. Kissinger, about a year ago, he asked me, what are you doing? What are you working on most? And I explained it basically this, and he says, yep, that's the key issue. That's the key question. There are lots of ramifications to it, but that's what it is. I found that there's a lot that we have accomplished, the U.S. and China together. It makes me very proud. I know it does you too. The one that makes me most proud is when in November 2014, when President Xi and President Obama met together at Zhongyang, the first summit. It was very insightful to me. It was a candid conversation of how we have to work together. It was during that year, too, that we, United States and China, agreed to that historic climate change agreement. I was so pleased. During the 3 years I served there, that probably was the highlight, the hallmark for me, when our two countries worked together to address climate change. When I arrived, I talked to the Chinese leadership how important that is. It was like talking to a fence post. It got nowhere. But gradually, over time, you could see a little glimmer of interest. The Chinese government wanted to begin to pursue this. And to me, that's a lesson of how forward-looking China is, the opportunity China takes. China saw that was an opportunity to be on the world stage with the American president, President Xi with President Obama. Very important. Second, is enabled China to develop renewable energy technologies. And China has with a vengeance, with its wind power, solar, you name it. It's very impressive. And I wish our country could do the same. In fact, it reminds me a bit of one of our honorees tonight, Stella Lee. Stella Lee, to me, represents that forward-looking, futuristic almost, opportunity that one can pursue. And she certainly has with BYD. And in fact, I saw a YouTube video of her not long ago, and I was very taken with you, Stella, and how positive you were and how BYD's done so well. And that's where I learned what BYD stood for. And I just wish everybody would say BYD themselves so they'd all build their dreams too. And I want to thank you too, Charlie. Charlie Zhang, you represent the importance of business, the business ties between our two countries. It really is a key. We're joined together at the hip economically, investment and trade, and just thank you so much for just representing that very positive aspect of the relationship. I've learned a couple of things in the job, and I'll be very brief here. One is we could do great things. I mentioned the climate change agreement. In addition, I've learned that candor counts. I think the Chinese respect and appreciate candor even more than do Americans. About the first, second, third month in the job, I'd be at not negotiating, but have a conference with someone senior in the government. I remember that after 2-3 months, it was a Chinese General Fang, I think it was, sitting across from the table of him, as you know, obviously, and as you know, a diplomatic protocol is you read your talking points. General Fang read his talking points. And everybody on his side of the table was following along the talking points. And my crack staff gave me my talking points. So I read my talking points. But after about a month of this, I realized this is nuts. This is just a waste of time. And we do get our points on the record, Chinese position, American position, but there's no dialogue here. We're not talking to each other. So I decided I'm just going to be un-American. I'm going to be rude. I'm going to interrupt mid-sentence. And I did. But hopefully, politely and constructively, I'd say, oh, General, break right in mid-sentence. What do you mean by that? Oh, could you give me an example of that? And he's, oh, well, sure. And start to talk back and forth. I found that every Chinese leader I talked with respected that. They really appreciated candor. They appreciated asking questions, constructive questions. And I would, frankly, this is not too strong, train American officials when they came over to Beijing to do the same. Interrupt. Don't be too polite. Ask questions. Interrupt. In the American private sector, the same thing. I have to ask them to not be too shy, too polite. Interrupt. Ask questions. And I think that went a long way. I tried to make best use of my time over there by just being candid and ask constructive, not condescending questions, not negative questions, but constructive questions just to help further the dialogue. In addition, I did something else, and I think I hoped it made a difference. I would often ask a lot of Chinese leadership about the so-called Thucydides trap. I'd say, look, your GDP is going to double in 10 years, and your defense spending is going up, going to double in 6 years, and the trend lines, that's the direction things are going here. What are Americans to think? And it's not just words, but it's deeds. How are we going to work this out? We've got to be honest with each other here. And I asked the question constantly. The leaders would very respectfully listen, would not engage in that issue. And I know Ambassador Sway will remember I asked him that same question about a year or two ago, and he's the only one who started to talk to me about it, address the question with me, and I deeply appreciate that. So I'll just finish by saying this. We are so lucky. All of us are so lucky to be here at this point in time, as this relationship is becoming even more important than it has been in the past. More important because China is growing so much. China's GDP will double that of the United States in the not too distant future. And it's critical that we think about that and be honest about it and ask honest, constructive questions of how we make sure that the gears mesh, not grind. So how do we do that? It's complicated, clearly, but one way I think is so important is for Americans especially, and for Chinese too. I'll start with Americans. Just go over to China. Be there. This is not too fanciful, but I even have suggested that we load up a 747, fill it up with members of Congress, some executive branch, and some media, and business people. Fly over to China for 2 weeks. Travel around China. Talk to party secretaries. Talk to cab drivers. Talk to people on the street. Just get to smell China, taste it, feel it. Get a sense of it. And that'll make it such a big difference. And then when you come home, next year go back again. Because it's the trends that make the difference in the personal relationships that you develop over time that really make the difference. And I would just urge Chinese to do the same too. We got this 10-year tourist visa. It's an opportunity for all of us to take advantage of it. Again, we're lucky. We're so lucky. It's so exciting. And I just urge us to take advantage of it. And not forget, it's written in Ecclesiastes, that much is expected from those to whom much has been given. All of us in this room have been given so much. We are so lucky. We've been given so much. And we have an obligation to give back because we've been given so much. Or another way of saying the same thing is this. I think all of us, have a moral obligation to be sure that when we leave this place, and we're only here for a speck of time, when we leave this place, we leave it as good a shape or better shape than we found it. That's for our kids and for our grandkids. And I know that's how Chinese people think. I know how some American people think. I find that we're so alike, Chinese people, American people. We have the same aspirations. We have the same hopes and desires. Have a decent income, take care of our family, our kids, educate our kids, decent health care, clean water, clean air and so forth. We're all the same. And so leaders of each country need to talk to each other more so it's more likely that people in both our countries do have a better life than we had. I'm so happy to be here. It's been a great job. And I do want to finish with one small point. This is throw off color. I want to just really take my hat off and honor my wife, Melody Haynes, who's here. And for a lot of reasons, first, I love her. But second, she is so inspirational herself. We got a car over there about third or fourth week after we arrived. And Mel got a driver's license so she could drive our car by herself. And she'd drive all around the streets of Beijing. She'd make a sharp left turn from the right lane and a sharp right turn from the left lane. She'd get up on this, drive up on the sidewalks, and the best of everybody. She was just right in there, right? In the Beijing traffic. She'd drive out to Tsinghua University often to take Chinese lessons. But we loved the job. We threw ourselves into it. Loved the people and the challenge of just doing all we could, just help work on this relationship. So thank you so very, very much. Appreciate it.